I've done quite a few pet sits in the last couple of months, and this was my first time doing them. And I've definitely learned a lot just in this short period about pet sitting and how it affects me, especially with my autoimmune condition. And so if you're thinking of pet sitting, here's some of the things I wish I'd known when I started. So I've done, in the last couple of months, 6 sits, 7 if you include the current one, which just about fell into those 2 months. And I've been to many locations. I've had quite a few around Stratford-upon-Avon. I've spent time in Lincoln and Wiltshire. And I've done short sits and longer sits. But let me tell you, the short sits, whoa, they are tiring. Because you turn up and you don't really get to sort of settle down. You don't get to unpack properly. You don't get to know the pets properly. And actually, you feel more like the cleaner because you spend more time cleaning than you do looking after the pets. So one of the things that I suppose the biggest thing I've learned is that the shorter sits don't really work for me. Like I say, it can be physically tiring because although I'm doing much better with my autoimmune disease, I still get fatigue. And when I'm only there for 1 to 3 nights and I'm having to do the cleanup, because I always clean when when I'm leaving a place, I want to leave it very clean. And even if I've only been there 1 day and haven't made much mess, you've still got to clean the shower, the bathrooms, hoover where you've been, clean the kitchen and everything. And doing it in a short period of time, I find really quite tiring, especially lugging the hoover up and down the stairs. Whereas when it's a longer sit, I can start the cleaning the day before and split it up a bit. So I do find that quite tiring. And like I say, I do feel a little bit like the cleaner on the short stays rather than the house/dog sitter. Yeah. And the other thing is, I am a bit of a clean freak. I've always, I might not be the tidiest person, but I'm always kept my home like clean, super clean. And not all homes are as clean as I would like. So I find myself having to clean when I get there. Not all of them. Some of them have been absolutely spotless, but just, just something to bear in mind that not everyone is going to have the same standards as you, and that's fine. That's their home, and it's very difficult to judge from photos and videos what a place really looks like. But I kind of learned to judge that a little bit better now from the photos. So I look very specifically at how well the beds are made now, because that's a good indicator. And I zoom in on the kitchen, how cluttered it is and things like that. I do try, when they're local, to go and meet them first. But even then, it doesn't mean that it's going to be like that when you arrive. Just my experience. So that's something to bear in mind. So again, if you're only doing a short sit, you don't really want to spend all your time cleaning to then clean again. It doesn't work for me. No. But I've always said I like slow travelling. I like to take my time in places, and that is another thing I've learnt here, is that I actually prefer it when it's a longer sit. So when I was in Wiltshire, I was there for 2.5 weeks, and I really enjoyed it because I got to sort of really get to know Priya and Edie. The house was beautiful, the location was stunning, the places I could go and visit around it were great. And also I had, so that was my second sit, and at the end of my first one I started to have a flare up. So I was really grateful when I got to the second one, which was cats, and I could really relax. I didn't have to worry about walking a dog. And I'll come back on to walking the dogs in a minute. Yeah. So they're just a few things I've learned to look out for now. Longer sits, and be more mindful of the descriptions and the photos so I don't get such a shock. Yeah. But I have to say, there's an awful lot of positives to pet sitting that I've really enjoyed. In the main, I have enjoyed it. You know, I get to meet lots of lovely pets, and so my first pet sit with Rosie was, oh, it was perfect because she was just so delightful. And then I had Priya and Edie, the cats, who were, oh, were so full of character. I absolutely adored them. I had little Enzo. He was just full of character, and my granddaughter came and spent time with me with him. He was super, super lovely. Then I had a couple of Cocker Spaniels, George and Tilly, who were very affectionate and very well behaved and super dogs. I had Saffron and Sorrel, another couple of Cocker Spaniels. One was still a puppy, so it was quite exhausting running around. And now I'm with a couple of dogs and 3 cats. And I've had other cats in between. Yeah, so I've met lots of interesting pets, and all of them have been super adorable and all been very different characters. And I've really, really enjoyed spending time with them. I am an animal lover. I absolutely love dogs. I'm falling in love with cats as well at the moment. And that has just been brilliant. So, you know, whatever everything else is around it, the pets have always been super duper. I've got to stay in some wonderful locations. So the place in Wiltshire was just beautiful. I absolutely loved it there. And like I say, it was so close to lots of places I wanted to go and visit. And I got to go to Frome. I've forgotten the place I went to, Bradford-on-Avon. Now, I still didn't get to Stonehenge and Salisbury, but I've got them on my list to go to. But I was having a flare-up when I arrived there, so it did kind of affect my mobility a little bit. When I stayed in Lincoln, I was on, it was like a miniature small holding, and I got the chickens and the geese and the dogs, but the countryside view was just stunning from the veranda they built there, and that was very peaceful, and that was very nice. I obviously liked being in Stratford because that's my hometown. I know people, I know the area, so it was nice. I could go and catch up with friends, and that was very nice too. I'm currently on the near Worcester, and this very nice area here too, by the river. So there have been some personal challenges for me while I've been dog sitting. And I know when I said I was going to do this, I had a lot of comments from people about how am I going to cope with the fatigue that comes with having this autoimmune disease? How am I going to cope if I can't walk when I'm pet sitting and the dogs need walking? Now, most of my sits with dogs have been close to family or friends. So if I really am stuck, I can call on help. But actually, I've sort of battled on through it. Not sure if that's a good thing or not. It's difficult to know because I'm not really sure now from my previous or my latest hospital appointment what's really affected me, whether it's osteoarthritis or the autoimmune. If it's osteo, then actually the walking is doing me good. So we don't know about that. But there have been times when it's been difficult to walk the dogs, either because they put on the lead or they don't come back when you recall them. And that's another thing, you know, you need to work that out for yourself because the owner might tell you they're good on the recall, they're good on the lead, but that's not always the case. And it can be very tricky if you're walking with a dog that's going to pull all the time because it's twisting my knees all the time. But the other side of that is, and like, especially where I am now, there's a really, really beautiful place to go and walk the dogs. And the dogs are actually very good on recall and on the lead. So once I put them on the lead to get them in the car, and then when we get out the car to walk a little way away from the car park, and then I let them off the lead. And Bertie just plods along behind because he's a bit older now. you know, we all know how that feels. And little Daisy runs around and wears herself out. But the scenery there is absolutely stunning. It's just beautiful to walk around, and I'm actually enjoying it because that hour or hour and a half we're walking around in the morning, we're getting loads of fresh air and we're in nature. So there's pros and cons, and actually I'm walking it, and because Bertie's so slow, I'm not having to walk fast. We can just plod along, and I'm managing it, and it's actually making me feel good, both physically and mentally. So I'm really enjoying this sit at the moment for that. But walking can be difficult. It was when I had my first sit. At the end of the sit, I was getting into a lot of pain, and the last couple of walks were really, really difficult to do. And I did them, but I was glad I was moving on to cats so I could rest. And the others I've done, and some of them I've managed with crutches, and some of them I can't use my crutches sometimes. But I have actually been able to manage most of the time. And a big part of that is because of my sponsor. So as you know, FITVILLE, I'm a big fan of FITVILLE. They make shoe wear that just helps my joints. And I've had their trainers for a good few months now, and I use them regularly. Now, when I was in Wiltshire, it was a bit muddy in places, so I was using my old trainers and my knees were hurting a bit. So I actually switched back to my FITVILLE and thought, you know what, I'll just wash them if I need to. And I noticed an improvement the next day. So I'm a big fan of FITVILLE, and their shoes are always a little bit wider, so they help with other things like is it plantar fasciitis and bunions. But for me, the extra comfort that you get really takes that impact out of your joints and make it super comfortable. So I've been wearing the trainers for a while, and now the other thing is I'm in people's homes, so I need a pair of slippers. I can't walk barefoot or with my socks on hard floors. I need something. Now we've all had these slippers, haven't we? Like these ones. This is what I was doing. Like there's not much support on them. So FITVILLE sent me some of their slippers. They sent me these. So they've got the nice thick soles. They've got these lovely adjustable bits on them, and you know, their usual technology. And these have been brilliant because now I can walk around the hard floors in the house with a clean pair of slippers, which you know you need in people's houses and homes, and they've been marvellous. And it really is helping with my knees on a constant basis. So I'm no longer having to wear these hard things. They sent me these, so I'm absolutely thrilled with them. Now, I've got a special offer for you if you want to try out any of the FITVILLE shoe wear. And I do recommend them if you have joint issues, because they've helped me tremendously. And you can get, well, the first 30 people can get an extra percentage off. So 32% off any order for the first 30 people, and then 30% off, which is still very generous for everyone else. Just use the links below, and in the description I'll put the links and all the codes as well as on the screen. Anyway, thank you FITVILLE for continuing to help me with my walking and the stability, because honestly they really help. Back to my video. So the other thing that you get affected with when you've got this autoimmune is fatigue. And as I touched on before, I do find it very exhausting if I have to do a lot of cleaning in a quick space of time. I need sort of to rest in between. And also, because I've done so many sits in the last couple of months, by the time I got here, which thankfully I'm here for 3.5 weeks, but by the time I got here, I was tired. And for the first 2 days, I was taking the dogs out for a walk for an hour, and then I was basically on the sofa resting for the rest of the day, which is why my newsletter is late going out this month rather, because I've just not had the energy to do to do it. I'm feeling much better now as the weeks progressed, and I do think in partly that's from getting out and about, getting the fresh air, but also I'm more settled here. I've been able to unpack my stuff. I'm getting into a routine with the 2 dogs and the 3 cats. It's a lot, isn't it? But they're all very good. Well, the cats are getting used to me still. Yeah. but we're getting there. It just has an impact on how fast you can go, really. Now, I've always been an advocate of slow travel, and I need to now use that philosophy in my house sitting. So my plan going forward is to look for longer sits for 2 to 4 weeks, but preferably at least 4 weeks, so I can really settle down, have time to rest, have time to do my projects. It's like it's silly little things like do my knitting, and I've started crocheting again because knitting is sometimes hard on my my wrist and my thumb joints. But crocheting I'm finding okay. I had to reteach myself the stitches, but I like doing things like that. I like reading, and I just wasn't finding I was having time to myself. Here, I'm getting into that routine now. So I'm really glad this sit came up when it did. And going forward, I am looking more for longer term sits. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to do some short ones to fill in the gaps, but in the main. But I'm not going to take ones less than 7 days anymore. It's just too much for me. It's fine for other people if you just want a weekend away or a midweek break. But for me, it's too much. Yeah. I also think I need to probably be more selective. I mean, I do go for small dogs and cats, but like Rosie was a medium-sized dog. The thing was, she was so easy to look after. I could easily look after her again. It's very difficult to know until you've done it how easy those dogs would be. Like George and Tilly were fine to look after, but Sorrel and Saffron, well, because she was a puppy, she was a little bit more energetic. She was exhausting, but they were beautiful. I loved them very much, but it was more tiring. So I need to be a little bit more mindful of what pets I'm going for. I have not applied for any large dogs because I know that it'd be very difficult for me to manage a German Shepherd. Although I spent time with my cousin's German Shepherd when I stayed with my family for a week in between all of this. We see, I have been very busy, haven't I, in these 2 months? And, perfect. She's, he actually is just perfect. I loved it. I love her very much. But I think taking on someone else's that I don't know would be completely different. Obviously, I know Eddie, known her for years. So that's so slow travel more, that mindset more, longer stays, and be more selective with the animals, and also really looking at the photos and the homes a little bit more closely. That's the sort of things that I've learned, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's just that going forward, I am applying for the longer sits over the shorter term ones. Yeah. So you can do it with an autoimmune disease. It's the same with travelling, really. It needs to be at a slower pace, not 3 nights here, 2 nights here, 3 nights there, because I just can't do that at the moment. So if you've done pet sitting, I'd be interested to know how you find it. And the House Hoppers have written a great article in my newsletter that's coming out this week, which I know is late coming out, but it is coming out this week. So if you want to read that, you can sign up to my newsletter. The details are in the description. But yeah, we talk about other things, not just that. A couple of personal stories and things like that. But yeah, anyway, let me know how you find pet sitting. And thanks for watching. I'll catch up with you all soon. Ciao.